Welcome, everybody. This is Beer Guys Radio. Thanks for coming, joining us, hanging out with us, having a beer and some conversations. It's good to be back in the saddle. I feel like I've been absent forever, but I am back here now. So it's a good thing. If you have a comment or if you'd like to let us know what beer you're drinking or something to add to our conversation, we'd always love to hear from you. Throw it in the comments there. Mo Mike Nate does monitor the comments and will reply expeditiously. And we appreciate it. With that said, let me get always ramble too much at the beginning and I don't get my stuff staged properly to get us started. But
We'll forgive you this one time. It's been a
one
couple of
time. It's
weeks.
been, man. I got to get back in the saddle here. So, but with that said, here we go to the show. Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining us and hanging out to have a beer and some conversations. We always appreciate you listening. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how's it going?
It's been pretty good, pretty good. I'll warn you, I've had a lot bit of coffee today, but
a lot of coffee.
I'm gonna try to be on my best behavior, not too twitchy.
I'm toning my caffeine down, Brian. I think you and I talked about that a little bit, but so I'm doing 1 cup of regular coffee in the morning, then I have a cup of decaf. I always want 2 cups of coffee. But I had drank like teas, or I'd have a soda with lunch, 0 sugar, but fully caffeinated. But I decided 1 cup of coffee is going to be my caffeine for the day. And it's because I heard that even if you don't feel it, like you don't get jittery or perked up or that caffeine after even like 10 a.m. can impact your sleep. So in an effort to get more and better quality sleep, I'm going to chill out on the caffeine some. So
we'll
see how that goes.
Don't they talk about caffeine as though it were like a radioactive element, like a half-life of caffeine being like 8 hours or something like that? Like 8 hours after you drink it, half of the coffee is still, or the caffeine is still rattling around your system, disrupting your sleep. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I mean, 10 a.m., if you look, half of it's still there at 6 p.m., which means a quarter of it would be there at 2 a.m. even. So you'd still, is that the way that works? Is that the way the half-lives work there? So I don't know.
I'm not sure if it maybe it's a more steep slope after that, or if it's a gradual. I don't actually know.
Yeah. But anyhow, so we'll see how that goes. Nate, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. It's been a pretty good week. Happy to see your face, Tim. How are you doing?
Of course. Thank you, man. I'm doing pretty good. Doing much better. So, just had a couple of rough weeks there. I believe you guys usually say I'm on assignment, but messed my back up. And guys, I literally could not sit. Like I spent about 10 days, about 80% of it in bed healing an injured back. I was going to say, I had a spine injury, but that sounds ridiculous. I hurt my back is what happened. I don't guess it was a spinal injury, but I was out of commission for a while. So it was pretty lame.
Yeah, I know a guy, and I'm very concerned about my back too. I'm a little paranoid anytime I twitch anything, and it's always days for me, even if it's a mild thing. But I worked with a guy that he had ongoing back problems, and he eventually just adapted to like a standing situation for work. And I'm like, man, that would be brutal standing all day, but didn't bother him too much. Also, he's a thin, shorter guy, so maybe there's a little less going on weighing down on the system, but it worked out okay for him. But sitting was rough for him, so he didn't do it very often.
Yeah. Right. For what it's worth, I couldn't stand either. So mine was neither one. So I didn't even have the choice. I tried that a little bit, and it just, it was just awful. It was just awful there, but I made it through. I'm back in the saddle. I'm feeling much better. So we're going to rock on with it. Y'all, before we dive into the show, Brian, I'm going to let you, I know you put some notes together on this, but we got some pretty unfortunate news this week. And so, Brian?
Yeah, it's kind of very shocking and, very unpleasant news. But Tim Very, who's a friend of ours, been on the show, drummer for Manchester Orchestra, passed away this week. And as of the recording of the show, we have no idea what happened exactly. No cause of death has been made public. And his bandmates from Manchester Orchestra, they described it as sudden and unexpected, and they're completely in shock as well. It seems like he didn't have any kind of like known medical conditions or anything that anybody knew about, and it's terrible. He's a heck of a nice guy. He's a super talented musician. He was with the band for 15 years, and he even founded a production company here in Georgia called Super Canoe. I found out about that. I didn't even know he did that. So he has his fingers in everything. He's doing everything. Great guy, and yeah, it's crazy. He's just 42, and man, I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of shocked about it. But I will say that if you're a fan of the band, you're a fan of his, a live album is coming out next month called Union Chapel, and it's going to feature some of his last work with the band. So give that a listen. Go pick it up. And honestly, I'm just watching the news to see what happens
if
there's
they find
any
something
kind of
out.
like any news or any kind of like support or whatever type of thing, you know. So yeah, it's the coolest guy, man. He hung out with us. He, you know, dealt with all the people that wanted autographs and things like that. Super, generous with his time. Very nice guy. Man, this is sucks. Sucks.
It
a lot,
does.
honestly.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy, and I mean, we weren't like best buds or anything, but even after he was on the show, I texted back and forth with him a couple times when they had albums chart or they put something out that I really liked, and he was always just, super friendly. He'd ask me, oh, where'd you hear it? What were you listening to? Where'd you hear it there? So they did one thing that was pretty cool is we gave him a shirt when he was on the show and they were in the studio for the next album. He sent me a picture, said, hey, I'm wearing your shirt in the studio today. So I was like, this is, super cool. I'd been a fan of the band for a while. And, we got connected to Tim through a mutual friend in craft beer. I think it goes without saying he was a craft beer fan.
Yeah.
So, so it was pretty cool to meet him, someone that is a band you've enjoyed for a while and then get a chance to meet him. And then even beyond meeting him, have him on your podcast is pretty awesome. So,
and not just on it, but they're hanging out with you in
the studio. Drove to our studio, hung out with us and all that. Yeah. So again, only met him once, did chat back and forth with him, but was always nothing but super nice. And it very disappointing, very sad news to hear that he passed away.
Terrible stuff.
Well, guys, let's move into our beers of the week. And Brian, what are you going to be getting into this week?
So I pre-gamed with an interesting one from Modelo called Noche Especial. It's a red or amber lager. They didn't decide what it was. It looked more amber to me than red, but it's inspired by Noche Buena, Mexico's cherished Christmas Eve celebration. So this is a little bit of a seasonal lag, which I enjoy partaking in. People are trying to drink Christmas in July. I'm trying to drink Christmas beers in February. So, it's really good. It's a Christmas red ale or red lager. I'm sorry. Really well done. It's the kind of thing I'm like, come out with it all the time. Release a version of this for the rest of the time because I really enjoy it. I would buy more if I see more. I don't think there's going to be a lot left. I just happened to see this in a convenience store. Basically, I was gassing up. I'm like, hey, what is that? And I looked at it. I'm like, all right, I'm grabbing that. That's going to be had.
Got to try it.
Yeah. So now I am working on a Hop Butcher Twilight to Starlight, which has a lot going on with it. But to begin with, it's a New England Double IPA hop with Motueka, Ella, and Simcoe hops. And also in the brewing process, they added a tropical fruit medley tea. And on top of that, it's a collaboration with Billy Corgan's Madame Zuzu's, which is a restaurant in Chicago, I believe. And it's celebrating the 25th anniversary of Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness album. So I had no idea about all that when I got this beer. I just opened it up and I'm like, oh, wow, there's a lot going on here. It's good. I'm drinking it right now. And later on after the show, when we're hanging out with the Patreon folks, shooting the bowl, I'm going to be getting into Carton Brewing's regular coffee. Tim was talking about regular coffee. In this case, regular coffee means it's a New Jerseyism for a coffee in a paper cup with a milk and 2 sugars. And this is officially a Imperial Cream Ale, but I like this one. I hadn't seen it around in a while.
Really good beer.
Just started showing up. So that is what I am getting into, Tim.
Cool, man. Cool. Nate, how about you? Are you on or off this week?
I'm off this week. So as you called it a while back, you said I'm on the white stripe.
Okay.
And so I didn't, Brian challenged me to find this. Athletic just announced that they were doing like a nitro dark brew. and I looked, I couldn't find it, so I had a few cans of Dos Equis, the lemon salt zero lager from a couple of weeks ago. So I've got one of those in my glass tonight. Still good, still very limey, still has like
There
a
you go.
saline quality to it, so can't complain.
I haven't had a lot of the newer non-alcoholic beers. Are they continually improving out there, Nate? Are we getting better?
On the I know that we're a craft beer podcast, craft beer focused podcast. Unfortunately, on the craft beer side, I haven't noticed
Improvement.
a major improvement.
Okay.
But as far as like the larger imports, they still seemingly it's hard to reclaim the loss of the body that the alcohol, the ethanol actually contributes to it. So
yeah,
yes, with an asterisk, and that asterisk is it's slight. If you're really looking for it, it's hard to say, but yeah, a little bit. It's getting better.
A little bit. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of growth is fine there. I know we've got some other nice craft breweries. Again, we've talked about it in the past that the methods now there's better and easier methods to do non-alcoholic beer. So, we've had some pretty nice brewers step in and they've done some good stuff there for sure. But yeah, I'd also like to find that Nitro Athletic, see what they did with that one. That'd be fun.
I'm gonna get it if I see it for sure. Like if I cross paths with it, I like what Athletic is doing. I like again the Bravas darker beers. The Bravas Peanut Butter Dark was great.
Yeah,
Untitled Art. I've been really impressed with almost everything they've done. So in terms of like more crafty side of things, they've been pretty cutting edge with how good they've been able to accomplish things. But I've definitely had some crafty non-alcoholics sort of like, okay, that is
a thing that exists.
Yes.
This exists.
Yeah.
This happened. So
yes,
good stuff. Well, guys, I've got an extracurricular pick of the week for us here that is a beer adjacent thing. So I think it's easy to say a lot of people who like beer that there's a lot of crossover with people who like chicken wings. You think that's a fair assumption there? So
100%.
Yeah.
We've got chicken wing drama. More directly, we have boneless wing drama out there. So for those that haven't heard this unbelievable news, a man sued Buffalo Wild Wings because he said their boneless wings were not, in fact, deboned chicken wings. And as such, they were a violation of the Illinois Consumer Fraud Act. He argued that calling them boneless wings was misleading and they should be called something different like chicken poppers, as they were essentially just chicken nuggets there. So, however, he did not drum up enough factual allegations to support the claim, and a judge dismissed the case, stating boneless wings are not a niche product for which a consumer would need to do extreme research to figure out the truth. The judge wrote, instead, boneless wings is a common term that has existed for over 2 decades. The judge did, however, state he would allow the case to be amended if additional facts could be provided that would demonstrate Buffalo Wild Wings is committing fraud. So, but for now, his claims didn't fly any more than if he had claimed consumers eating chicken fingers would assume they were actually consuming the fingers of a chicken. So, Buffalo Wild Wings is allowed to continue calling their boneless wings boneless wings. So
that's a really good point. I just assumed that they deboned the wing and put the what was left into it. No, they probably just whatever chicken they have, press it into something.
I've thought that before. I was like, why are they calling these why call them boneless wings? And I guess it's a small piece of chicken that gets sauce on it and you eat it, I think is essentially what they're using as that definition. And I gotta agree with the judge there. Wherever you go, if they say boneless wings, you kind of know what you're getting. You're getting a basket full of misshapen chicken nuggets, a regular chicken nuggets with some kind of sauce on them is essentially what you're going to get. So
yeah, I guess the whole wing concept is more about like the delivery of sauce upon a fried thing than what's actually
a small piece of chicken with sauce on it is what it is. So
I mean, Party Night and I always refer to boneless wings as adult chicken nuggets. So
yeah, there you go, man.
Basically,
there you go.
Yeah.
So would either of you side with him? It sounds like from our conversation you don't. Do you see his point at all? Do you think it is valid?
No, I think this is a guy that thought, you know what? I got him on this. They're lying about this and I got him.
Yeah.
Because The reality is I've gone places where I've ordered the boneless wings and thought, this doesn't taste like deboned wings.
Like wing. Yeah.
It doesn't. It tastes different. The texture is different. Everything about it's different. I'm like, this isn't as good. Like, I did feel a little misled the first couple of times I did it. I'm like, then I wised up, but it never occurred to me to take him to court. But
right.
Yeah, there's a little trickery happening there. It's like, that doesn't taste like a wing. It doesn't. The chicken is not the same. But I don't think taking him to court, though. I don't know.
Tyler just said here it's like a hot dog. Like, no one's going to think you're eating a dog if you say hot dog. It's kind of a defined term. And hot dog may be older than boneless wing, but we know what it is. Or, I mean, if we want to go way back, man, we could talk about hamburger now. So
yeah, very little ham in a hamburger.
Very little ham in it. Yeah. So, So anyhow, I thought that was interesting. The guy actually thought enough about it. And I kind of get a kick out of the fact that, did this guy think he was playing a gotcha, or was he legitimately this upset that he didn't get deboned chicken wings?
I have seen how angry people get at drive-thrus when they are out of Chicken McNuggets. It's possible he was this enraged that he's like, call my lawyer. This is they're going down for this.
Well, Brian, you know me well, and I'm easygoing, and things literally never annoy me. I'm never like pedantic about anything. So, I can't really. No. Okay. So if anybody knows me, there are some things that just hit me a certain way, and others may consider them just absolutely ridiculous. But to me, there's some principle in the matter. So I think this is ridiculous. I also had thought about, boneless wings not being deboned chicken wings. But it was not a cause I felt passionate enough about to attempt a lawsuit.
So but how about crinkle cut fries? Would you sue somebody over those?
No, I want them made illegal. Is all there is to it. So that is it. I would like them outlawed and just not allowed to exist. And I think with our current administration, now may be my best time to do that, because they be banning stuff, man. So I mean,
if you play the game right and tie it to the right political party or the right group, you probably could get it banned. Yeah.
I think I'm going to state that they're the favorite French fry of the woke. And
there you go.
I believe that should take care of it.
That will do it. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I don't want to keep tying this up, Brian, but we've talked about the chicken wing index before, and it's something we watched because we noticed a few years ago, just after COVID, for whatever reason, the price on chicken wings went through the roof. And Brian, you looked it up, and going back a decade, the price per pound of raw chicken wings was about $1.95 in 2016. And there's, of course, been a steady climb, though. But again, Brian, we noticed that at our favorite restaurants was the cost of chicken wings. And there was even some things like Wingstop started doing thighs. Boneless thighs, because wings got so expensive. In 2022, they hit a peak of $3.80 a pound. So nearly double what they were 6 years earlier there. Some good news, Brian, over the last couple of years, they have been coming down a little bit, $3.30 a pound. And as of 2024, which is I'm sorry, it's not. So as of 2026, current prices, $2.58 a pound, which has been a drop since that peak. Each year it's dropped a little bit since that maddening $3.80 a pound. And so y'all get out there and enjoy your chicken wings. The market is pretty good for them right now, all things considered.
Yes, yeah. Not as great as it used to be 10 years ago, but right?
But it's better. I mean, we're old enough, Brian, we remember when they had 25-cent wing night at the bar and stuff like that. You can still do that. So no more. Those glory days are gone. It's like when our parents used to say, I used to pay a nickel to watch a movie. It's like, all right, Grandpa, that's cool. Good for you. Good for you.
Well, chicken wings used to be throwaway chicken. That used to be
they were.
We're putting it in sauce and frying it because it's discardable, the scrap chicken, and now it's
now it's cool,
chicken.
Man. Now it's good stuff. Absolutely. Crazy stuff. Well, Brian, moving along to our beer news. We've got an interesting one here. Brewdog. Gosh, man, we love Brewdog for as much as they stay in the news. But the latest tidbit here is Brewdog's up for sale.
Yeah, back in the news. Then this time it's being reported that they are up for sale, or the rumor is it's heading in that direction, because the brewery's board has brought in outside experts to handle the potential sale of Brewdog with a very tight timeline. They're calling it a quick fire deadline for indicative offers, and indicative offers means they're non-binding initial bids made by potential buyers to show that they are serious about buying the company. And I guess, and I don't know a lot about mergers and acquisitions and things like that, I guess this is a good way for a company to figure out, hey, what are we actually worth if we went really for sale in the public market? So they're looking into that, and they've got outside people helping them with it. And from what we hear, a piecemeal breakup of the company is possible. So that means the Brewdog facilities in Scotland, the U.S., Australia, and Germany, those may all end up with different owners. And I don't know if they would be under the same name or how that would even work. But as we've mentioned before, co-founder James Watt, who recently stepped down as CEO, he may end up being involved in whatever happens next, because it's also rumored that he is putting together a bid to buy the company back, and he has a good amount of money apparently from his sale of the parts of the company he sold. In the meantime, things are going about as well as you would expect them to go for everybody else involved. Employees are reportedly finding out about the potential sale of their company through news headlines rather than internal communication, and not telling your employees that you're about to sell the company is pretty punk. So I got to say that.
So punk.
Yes, very much so. Additionally, Brewdog's nearly 220,000 individual investors, aka the equity for Punk's participants, they are unlikely to see any return on their investment as part of the sale. They are behind other investors that have come along after them, and they got preferential treatment. So those guys get paid first if there's a sale. Then these equity for Punk's guys get paid maybe if there's anything left. Reportedly, the equity for Punk's program raised a total of 75 million pounds sterling overall for all the various times it ran. And I believe it ran right up until 2021. I think that's right. Here's the thing. Those guys can't sell their stuff. They got stuff, and there are open sessions where they were allowed to sell them. I think there hasn't been one for like 5 years or something like that. I don't know how that works. But anyway, Brewdog's valuation is expected to fall below the 2 billion pound or 2.7 billion US dollar figure it had back in better times. That's likely because of the dropping sales, the $200 million in losses they've had over the last 5 years. But on the flip side, as of 2026, the company still produces 5 of the top 8 UK craft beer brands, according to Grocery Gazette. So that's not nothing. They're worth something there. But I don't know. The question is who's going to buy them, and like, is it going to be James Watt? That might be their best scenario. And how much are they going to pay for this? I have no idea. I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be $1 billion.
Well, we've seen so many ups and downs, Brian. I think Ballast Point is really the greatest example of, buying it at peak and then selling it at the bottom there,
Yes.
So just such a massive turnaround on that. And really, I initially thought, it's like, well, who would want to buy, why buy a big company like that with its own headaches and that in this beer climate? But like you said, Brian, struggles or not, they do still have 5 of the top 8 beers, over there. So, I mean, there's obviously value to it, and not something I would want to get. I thought about buying them, Brian, but then I just said nah.
You said nah.
So I'm just going to pass on that.
Maybe Sapporo could buy them.
Yeah, that didn't serve him right. Brian's actually going to encourage it. He's going to.
I was thinking something along those lines here in the U.S. There may be large beverage concerns that are interested in getting a foothold in some brewery situation, distribution, production here in the U.S., and this is an opportunity for them to swoop in and grab the U.S. portion of it. I know we've seen Asahi come in, we've seen Sapporo come in disastrously for the people involved, but I think Asahi owns. Is it Octopi or something like that? I don't remember. Anyway, they own a portion of somebody to get their foot in the door, and there are other brands. Mahu San Miguel bought. Yeah,
Heineken owns Lagunitas outright.
Yeah. So there have been like large concerns coming in to kind of establish a foothold, distribution center, production, and this is a way of doing it. I mean, they've got a pretty substantial presence in the in the Midwest. I could see that happening. I could see James Watt taking over just the UK, that area, and the other stuff just going to other big places around the world. So just shooting from the hip here. I don't have any inside information. Don't buy or sell anything based upon what I'm saying. I guess I probably should say that just so I don't get in trouble. But yeah, I could see it happening like that. I don't think James Watt's going to buy the entire thing, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? Interesting stuff. Well, Brian, I think most of us know this, so it's not necessarily reporting any breaking news there, but we have some stats on it there. But, we had the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, and it's always a good time for beer sales, and this year was no different.
Yeah. So while year over year beer sales are slightly down this year, just 1.4%, the Super Bowl gave beer a massive double-digit boost compared to sales of the week prior. And by that, I mean 11% up from 1 week to the next, that's a pretty good bump in sales. In terms of pure dollar growth for the week, beer was the undisputed MVP compared to spirits and wine. And non-alcoholic beer is accelerating at a pace that puts all other beer categories and pretty much everything else to shame. Non-alcoholic beer was up 21% in dollar sales and nearly 23% in volume. But the big winners were Constellation Pacifico, which was up 31%, and Kirin-owned New Belgium, which is also up over 6%. So did I say 31% and 6%? I keep wanting to say 6%. Anyway, that's another one, Kirin New Belgium. That gives them a foothold in here. The higher-end domestic stuff also saw some growth this week after being in the red last week. Not a lot, but 3.5% in the black is a lot better than 1% in the red. But it's not all good news, unfortunately, for craft beer fans like us. The segment saw a steeper decline than it did the week prior by a small percentage, like a 1.4%, but not a good trend. So craft beer is still not doing well, even with the Super Bowl. But with that, I got to say, it is a Super Bowl. People are looking for lagers. They're looking for the light stuff. They're going to go for the traditional Americana stuff. So you're probably not going to sell as many pastry stouts and big hazies during the Super Bowl. Like, you need sessionable American beers. So yeah, I can see why it wouldn't offer that boost for a craft.
Not even necessarily American, man. I'm sure lots of Mexican lagers and that spent time at their Super Bowl party. So especially this year, man. Big international flair to this year's Super Bowl. So,
you know what? I actually drank Bitburger while I was watching it. So
there you go.
It was the crispest, lightest thing that was available that I could sit there and drink throughout the entire game without getting myself too far into a problem area. So yeah, it just happened to be what was available. Yeah.
That's what you want at the Super Bowl, man. You want something you can have a few of. You can sit there for the length of the game and have beers and not get schnockered. That's what most people want. Doesn't always work that way, but that should be the goal there for sure.
Indeed.
Well, Brian, before we move along, how about we give a shout out to our friends at Truck and Tap?
That's a great idea. So historically, February has been a slow sales month for beer, aside from the Super Bowl, obviously. And that never made a lot of sense to me. It's too cold to do any of the fun stuff you typically do outside. And the holidays just finished up, so people aren't doing a lot of travel either. And if you did dry January, it's time to get wet again. It's cold. There isn't a lot going on, so there's no better time for you to drop by your local Truck and Tap and enjoy the wide variety of craft beer that's available there on tap. From crispies and hazies on up to rich, warm, and boozy beers, and pretty much everything in between. So let's take a look at the taps in my beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Highwire's Mexican Chocolate 10W40. As you might have guessed, this is a Mexican pastry stout, Mexican hot chocolate. It's got chocolate, vanilla, cinnamon, and hot peppers. And in this case, those hot peppers are Pasilla and Carolina Reapers. And I know I've heard of Pasilla before. I forget what they're like, but Carolina Reapers are hot. So this is going to be a hot beer, I think. And as part of the 10W40 line, you can expect it to be thick like motor oil. And for those of you who don't know, 10W40 was, I don't know if it's a popular motor oil now that's used in a lot of things, but yeah, it's a variety of it. Anyway, no car expert here. I just know it's oil. I haven't had this one yet, and I really have enjoyed the other 10W40 releases, so I'm definitely getting some of this. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Spatial Distortion, which is a collaboration between Edmund's Oast and Creature Comforts. They're calling it a Southeastern-style IPA, and it was brewed with Crosby Estate-grown Amarillo Cryo, Simcoe Hyperboost, and Citra. I'm not entirely sure yet, or still, what a Southeastern IPA is. It seems like it's up to everybody's interpretation. And I don't really know what Hyperboost is. I'm just assuming it's a lot of Simcoe. But I would have to get this one for science to evaluate all these things. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Pontoon's Campfire Coffee Brown. No mysteries with this pick. I enjoy a good coffee beer. I will drink any beer with coffee in it. That's been established, so it just sounds like a good beer for the winter months. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Yazoo's Historic Gerst Amber. I've recommended this clean and malty amber beer before, but I don't think I've ever seen it on a Nitro tap before. So it's on Nitro there, and this must be revisited. I bet it's great. And there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. And as always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps do change quickly, and you never know what great new beer might go on and which of these might disappear. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, your trivia and your karaoke and your live music and everything else under the sun, you can find that at truckandtap.com as well. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check that out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We appreciate it very much. Brian, keeping with our football theme, more football and beer-related information. I love that they do stats on all this stuff, and they have looked out there and they looked at the 2026 NFL drinking report, which essentially studies which cities have the drunkest NFL fans.
Yeah, this one's fun. So yeah, now that the season is over, it's time to take a look back and see how drunk people got. So we've got some interesting alcohol consumption stats here about NFL fans around the country, thanks to a study by BAC Track, who make Bluetooth-enabled breathalyzers. So they came up with blood alcohol content numbers for fans using actual BACs that were registered on game days during the season. So they had a very specific cutoff for when they would take these numbers. They don't have a lot of personally identifying information. That was their best way of figuring it out. One big finding is that location is now the number one predictor of fan intoxication, outweighing team performance and ticket prices. Fans of the Indianapolis Colts and the LA Chargers, and the LA Chargers is kind of a geographic outlier. They're in a realm that's not usually as heavy drinking as they are, but they are tied for the drunkest fans with an average, on average, by blowing about 0.082%. So they are not legally good to drive any of the times they've been breathalyzed.
It's 0.08, right? Isn't that the
0.08
threshold?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
If you hit 0.08, I think you're done. You know, like, you shouldn't be in a car.
And just so we're clear, even below that, it does not mean you're good to go.
No. And I think this varies. It's a really good point. There are people that are very much at like a 1/10 or 0.2% lower than that, are not holding up really well at all and should not be out there. So this is very much a biology type of thing. It's kind of a know yourself. If you've had a couple, don't do it, you know. But so yes, the South, where we're at right now, it has the most sober fans. Hooray us, I think. This has been attributed to a variety of factors, including dry municipalities, which is going to affect things, religious demographics, and apparently the heat, that we have, and the humidity, I think, plays into that as well. I guess people don't get as hammered when it's hot out. Like, maybe that makes sense.
Okay.
But there's also, right? I mean, maybe not. I don't know if that would stop me from drinking.
I would think they're drinking. I would think people are out there, crushing the beers. But maybe it's another thing, Brian, we talked about, a situation where you want the lower ABV beers. So perhaps because it's hotter here, they're drinking beers with lower alcohol content, so they just don't get there.
That could be it. Now, if it were a dry heat, maybe it would be a much wetter, drinking session. So there's another interesting thing they found, that there's a bit of a paradox involving tailgating. It seems that stricter tailgating rules actually increase intoxication. So what they've found is fans tend to engage in compensatory consumption. That means they are pre-gaming pretty hard at home or in private lots, beforehand to beat the stadium clock, because they're not allowed to tailgate there. They are doing it before they show up. And then there's the other thing that they talk about, which is the liquor blanket. Midwest fans in open-air stadiums like Green Bay and Chicago use alcohol as a psychological defense against the cold. So basically it's cold out. I'm like, oh, I got to warm up with some booze. The irony here is that drinking more, and science has shown this. I think Mythbusters even busted this myth. The more that the drinking more, it shows that you actually lower your core body temperature, at least over time, more than if you had not drank at all. So it's kind of an interesting thing, but it gives you the initial perception of warming up. So there are some interesting trends and anomalies in these findings too, despite the Midwest with cheaper beer and and everything. Detroit Lions fans are the most sober in the NFL, blowing only 0.046% BACs. Analysts say that this may have to do with them being in an indoor stadium, which keeps them from having to deal with the cold, and also the rise in legal cannabis alternatives. So they may be partaking in other things as well. Overall, game day drinking is down 10% since 2023, and non-alcoholic beverage sales in stadiums has spiked nearly 40% since 2025, excuse me. So, but if you're wondering how the Patriots compared to the Seahawks had them beat by 0.1%. So it's Seahawks were 0.069% to the Patriots 0.059%. And I think that's winning, probably, maybe.
Guess it depends. For this purpose, I guess it is.
I think so.
I guess for the purpose of this study, it is. All right. Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. Well, Brian, Sam Adams / Boston Beer Company is closing, and they own a lot of stuff that you may not know about out there. They get into a lot of things there. But they've announced that they're selling, and Brian, here's one I didn't know about until we saw the news, that Boston Beer Company is closing or selling, possibly both, Angel City Brewery in Los Angeles.
Yeah, this is crazy. I didn't know that they had this either. It's one of those things that in the article, I'm like, oh, they own this. Yeah, they're announcing that they will officially close Angel City Brewing in Los Angeles' Art District on April 30th, coinciding with the end of the lease on the property for the facility. They say that the closure is a move to consolidate their business and focus more on core national brands, stuff that everybody's heard about. Basically, I have not heard about Angel City. While at the same time, they also say that Angel City remains a lucrative, and even though it no longer aligns with their long-term growth strategy, which kind of makes it worse. I'm like, they're fine. They are a profitable business, but they're not in line with our goals. The Boston Beer does say that they are actively seeking a buyer for the Angel City brand, saying that they are confident it could succeed as an independent local offering. Currently, all Angel City beer is produced at that Arts District facility. So if they close it, that's basically it. If they don't, if no buyer is found to secure the production facility or renew the current lease or whatever, that's it for Angel City. They're done. The brewery was founded back in 1997, almost 30 years ago, and it moved to this Arts District location back in the 2010s. But 29 years this thing has been around. And it became a cultural anchor for the neighborhood it's in, and the announcement is not going over well with the locals. They're understandably unhappy about it. This is basically the kind of thing we worried about back in the day when we were talking about the big boys starting to buy out the small craft breweries. It's great in the short term. They got all this money and the capital, and we can do all the fun things, but it never lasts. It never turns out well. In the end, you as a brand always dissolve into next to nothing, or you're sold off or shut down or whatever. It doesn't last, and people could see this coming. And I think they were told they were crazy by the people receiving the check for selling out. So here we go. This is what happens.
Yeah. We've seen it so many different angles when big beer buys smaller breweries. Just the ones that we know. Different situations. They close a brewery. They close a brewery that has, just like in this case, it's been in an area for however many years. The locals love it. They're passionate. And, Sam Adams doesn't have an emotional connection to that spot. It's just another piece of their business there. We've seen companies be bought, and then when the mothership goes through a reduction in force, as they like to call it now, we've seen owners released, where they've sold and stayed on with the new parent company, and then they're laid off from a company they founded, basically. So there's they just ruin the beer. That's another one. So I can't, in all honesty, I think the best one is probably Goose Island. When I think about it, that they have done the best. Yes. They've probably done the best of any of the big acquisitions there. And there was so much drama surrounding that, but I can think of a lot more examples of breweries that have not, either they haven't done significantly better or they've done worse after being acquired. And you know what? If somebody has some more examples of breweries that have done really well once they've been acquired, like Wicked Weed, I don't even know how they're doing now. I just happened to see an ad from them recently. So I don't know if they've expanded distribution, if they're getting onto, all these markets. And I know that the locals were still pretty unhappy with them, even a year or two after they were purchased there. So who knows, man? Who knows?
They are definitely not quite the same thing as what they were. I think they're very popular. I know the sales are up. I haven't bought them because I've got reasons for that. I'm irritated for about going back years, but their sales of their IPAs are doing really well, but they were not an IPA company. They made one, but I think they were best known for all their very interesting sour stuff. I don't think anybody knows them for that anymore. So in terms of identity, I don't think they retain what they were. Like they're just one of Budweiser's
one of the
hot
companies,
IPAs.
one of the ones there. Yeah. Yep. Interesting stuff, Brian. Well, Brian, more scandal, which we're always fans of here. And this is not the first country this has happened in, where this is in Australia this time. And the scandal is patrons feel shortchanged / underserved in their beers.
Yeah, the scandal is Australians in this. I think it's official. Australians are being underserved. They are not getting enough alcohol, Tim.
Right.
Not getting enough.
That's terrible.
Undercover government inspectors, I love this story, from the National Measurement Institute of Australia visited 436 bars across the country to test the accuracy of beer and spirits pours. That the probe found that 32% of drinks, that's nearly a third, were filled to below the legally required volume. That's right. Australia has a legally required volume for alcohol. That's so Australian. The Institute issued 130 warning notices to establishments that failed to meet the measurement standards. Pub owners and Australian Hotels Association are blaming short pours on faulty measuring devices, non-standard glassware. To be fair, there's a lot of interesting glassware out there these days, but spillage, head, and all this stuff happening during particularly busy service periods where spillage and head is more likely to happen. Though drinking has been on the decline in Australia, it's still seen as an important part of the local culture. So hotels and pubs are under a lot of pressure to ensure that every beer pourer passes what they are calling the pub test. It needs to be right. I did a little investigation. Actually, Tim asked me like this. We've seen this story before in other places. Like, turns out, yes, there are similar beer volume requirements in the UK, and they do have their own inspectors there, which I love that too. If a pub is suspected of shorting customers or watering down spirits, because apparently that happens, these officers can seize equipment and pursue criminal prosecution against the people doing it. I got a lot of respect for that. Kind of makes you wonder how accurate our pours are here. We don't have anything like this. I know personally that I've been shortchanged before. I've gotten pours where I'm like, that is not a proper pour, or that 10-ounce pour is looking more like 8 ounces. I think I got shortchanged.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So let me ask you this, Brian. Do you care? I mean, if you've got, let's say you got a pint glass and you end up with 15.3 ounces of beer in it, like how worked up are you at that? And maybe it's because we are Americans and we're kind of used to that, because it's just like, hey, here's a pint glass, this and that. I want a glass of beer, to be honest with you. The only time to me personally that may matter is every now and then they'll have something where it's an expensive stout and a 4-ounce pour is $12.
Yes.
If I get 3 ounces when I'm already paying $12 for a 4-ounce beer, I'm not going to be happy about that. But if I'm driving $7 or $8 on a quote unquote pint of beer, if I get a glass of beer, if I get what looks to be a full glass of beer, I mean, if they give it to me in a shot glass, that's going to be a case. But I'm not going to be in there measuring to see if there's, if I'm a quarter ounce short on my pour.
I've been convinced that some people are, we have our traditional shaker pints, and there are versions of glassware that look like a shaker pint, but are very much smaller by several ounces, but they're intended to look like that, but they charge the same amount. That annoys me. I'm like, I know that you're playing a fast one here, but what you said about like, this is a very expensive stout, you get 8 ounces of it, and you end up really getting 6 because somebody's under pouring. Yeah, that bothers me a lot. But
Right.
if I'm going to a place that gives me what looks to be just the normal bar shaker pint of something, and it's got a good amount of head on it, I'm not actually angry about that. I kind of like that because that means it's been poured well. The ones where the shaker point's poured to the rim with no head on it, I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I got my exact dollars worth. Respect for that.
I'm not getting shorted. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually will take like a straw or something, dry it off, and whisk it up a little bit to excite the head. Like, let's get a proper pour out of this, because some of the volatile aromas and flavor is locked still in the beer, and frequently the glasses come right out of the freezer, so you can't taste anything. It's freezing your taste buds. Everything's locked in solution. So I respect them for trying to give me absolutely the maximum amount of beer they possibly can for my dollar, but I don't need it to be that extreme. So
Yeah.
I do
Back it off
admire
a little
people
bit.
for doing that. Yeah. Yeah. So
Nate, how about you? What's your stance on your beer pours there?
Well, you had a good point. It's like if I'm being charged $12 for a 4-ounce pour and I get 3 ounces, then I want to be charged just the $9 for the volume that I'm actually receiving. But you boys also both have a great point about how in America, we get these pint glasses, and to be fair, I'm not looking for liquid all the way up to lip. I don't want a boss pour. I want to have like the actual appropriate amount of liquid with the actual appropriate amount of head foamed up. And that's where it's a little subjective, right? How much head is too much head, and at that point am I being underserved?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a statistician. I can't say that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, if we're talking a little bit, I mean, if it was extreme, and you know what, maybe it is. Maybe they're giving these guys beers that are filled 2/3 of the way and a third head, then it's like, hey, come on, man. I'm not getting a full beer here. You know what? Here's a good example. We went to a pinball bar not long ago, and they, you know what I'm going to tell, Brian.
Yes.
So they were doing a special. I forget the price, but on PBR tall boys, and I thought, what's the ounces on a tall boy? Is it 19.2? It's a 16 ouncer.
I think it was a 16er.
Traditionally, yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy popped the can and poured it into a glass, and it was, I'm assuming, not a full 16-ounce glass.
It wasn't, yeah.
But all I know is there was still a substantial amount left in that can, and he tried to be kind of sneaky, or he poured it and then just real casually kind of sat the can down on the bar. I called him on it, man. I was like, bud. I was like, I bought a tall. Now say there. Okay, Nate, Brian, that was a 16-ounce can of beer. That's what I purchased. I purchased a 16-ounce can of beer.
Correct.
I did not purchase 15 ounces out of a 16-ounce can. So in that case, and he looked at me weird. I was like, no, nah, man. I was like, there's more in that can. Bring that thing back up there and top me off. Yeah. And he acted weird, but I got the rest of my beer. He did not short me there.
I think dude had a little bit of a scam going on, because I think he gave us a shaker pint, which is, I think the typical one's like closer to 14 ounces, I think.
Well, poured
it's a 16-ounce beer with head, so it's probably about 3 ounces left in the can, and that's how he was getting his buzz on your dime, because you're like, I don't think he was getting paid well, and he didn't want to be there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a substantial amount that he kept in the can there, and I'm like, man, no, that's my beer. I paid for that tall boy there.
I'm glad you took a stand, because I might have missed it, but you're like, oh no, that's my beer. You give me my beer.
Yeah, that's like we were talking about, man, earlier with that, is there's things I get pedantic, and Brian, you know all too well, I am not scared to say something, about stuff. So, and there's a lot of things that other people are like, dude, just let it slide, ignore it, no big deal, this and that. Look, I'm not going to start a fight with you, but if you're trying to pull a fast one, I'll mention it. But, and we got our beer, Brian. We got our full tall boy there. All right, Brian. Winter Olympics are going on now. I think they're still going on. I've been watching it. I know I've seen things about skiing. I know Lindsey Vonn had, real unfortunate run. She tried to compete after an injury, and I think they said 13 seconds into her run, she crashed again, and broke her leg. Sounds like she's doing well. And then curling's had a lot of drama this year. I've heard there was something about a double touch on something and different things, but curling and Brian, many years ago, we had a buddy that lived in Vancouver that was a big curling fan. And he mentioned that his local curling gym, or I don't know what they call them, to be honest with you, that the guys that were on the Olympic team played there. Like he knew the guys on the Canadian Olympic curling team. And from his perspective, and I don't know if everybody would agree with this, but curling was a lot like league bowling in America. It's like, people just go out on a Thursday night to have a few beers and curl or go curling. So I think as far as Olympic athletes go, these guys are the bar brawlers of Olympic athletes. This is like taking guys going down to a rural bowling alley and be like, hey, let's go to the Olympics, kind of thing. So the fact that you get some drama with it doesn't surprise me. But Brian, related to what we're saying here, some Wisconsin dudes who they curl up there and that, but they have gone viral for curling beer.
Indeed, yes. You know a lot more about curling than I do. I was thinking that maybe I knew more after this, but no, for sure you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, some Midwestern innovation involving beer and curling has gone viral this week on social media. A group of men in Wisconsin created DIY curling stones, which is the thing that they throw. They're stones, using cases of beer to avoid the high cost of the official equipment. Apparently, those stones are expensive, and their equipment of choice is Busch beer cases, modified with wooden handles for a better grip. And I think they're full cases of beer for it to work out. I don't know the rules behind curling, but apparently they've come up with their own, and it's being called redneck curling. It basically skips all the sweeping parts, which is famous in curling, and focuses on knocking the opponent's stone out of the target, which sounds like some other game I've played in a bar before.
Or
something? That's what, like a bocce ball, except on ice with drunk dudes. Anyway, I guess you could call these guys Bush League. Let that wait.
I don't have but I'm here.
Okay, all right, good enough. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of amusing comments about it online. That was my joke, but somebody pointed out that they should be curling stones, keystones. I'm like, ooh, very good call. They could have been doing keystones. And there's also a comment about this is what peak performance looks like, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. But my favorite of the comments is, this is the most Wisconsin thing I've ever witnessed, and I'm guessing that is probably the most Wisconsin thing that's ever occurred in the history of the world. But
that's awesome.
I love this. I think this is great.
Yeah, that's good.
Good for those guys.
Yeah, get out there and curl it up, guys. Have either of you ever attempted curling?
No, I've never been to a place where that was even an option. I would absolutely try both parts, whatever the sweeping thing is, which I guess involves like moisturizing the ice too. I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I don't know the broom thing. Like, I guess it is. Is it to make the stone move more? Is it to make it? I guess it's to make it keep moving, control the direction a little bit.
Control the speed and direction. Okay. I think that's the idea. You sweep to try to encourage it to move faster, or sweep less to slow it down.
Slow it down, huh? But you know what? I did see some highlights of the Olympic curling. I mean, some impressive stuff, man. This is not a light stone. So they lined it up. Like, there was one where there was a stone back from, like, you've got your bullseye there, basically the technical term, bullseye, that, you're trying to get your stone in the center of the bullseye, and the opponent had a stone like just outside of the bullseye, and then another one off to the left, kind of just off center of the bullseye. And this lady threw her stone where she knocked the one that was outside even further outside, but then the stone she threw ricocheted and hit the one that was in the middle and knocked it out as well. I'm like, that's pretty impressive. I'm like, wow. All right, guy, I'll give you that, man. I know you're just throwing stones on ice, but that was pretty good stuff there. So
yeah, it's pool without the cue, or bocce ball plus.
Yeah, it was impressive, man. It was impressive there.
So I have not gone curling, but I know that there's a curling club, I think in Roswell, Georgia.
Yeah, there is. I know there's a big competitive ice rink over there, ice sports over there. Years ago, and this may have even been before your time, but we got invited. They did like a beer league there, or a beer bracket at the curling thing. And I don't remember if it was brewers involved or exactly how it. And we said we were going to go. They invited us for a couple years, and we never made it over there. But yeah, that's something I'd like to check out. It's again, it sounds like going to the bowling alley, having a couple drinks, and they should let them drink and smoke in the Olympics. So you have the dude like dropping to his knee with a stogie hanging out of his mouth, going back and getting his can of Busch. I am all for it, man.
I was just thinking about bowling plus mopping, where you would have to mop the lane in front of the ball.
Yeah. Wait a minute. They've just tricked us into cleaning this place.
So
yes, it's even a sport. Yeah. Now the next thing you got to do is you got to take the Windex and you need to clean this glass here.
Yeah. It's like that's not even related to that. Yeah. It's like that's up front. It's like, no, this helps with the roll of the ball. Yeah.
Right. Take this toilet brush. Right. We know what we're doing. They're like, who's the professional here? You or us?
They got a camera on the guy scrubbing the toilet in the back room.
What is good? How did I end up here, man? What is this? What is this? Just break in and cheer him on and be like, all right, I guess, I guess
I'm helping. Right. I guess we're winning.
I'm doing something here, man. I'm doing something here. Good stuff, guys. Well, y'all, that does wrap up our show for this week. Once again, we thank you for hanging out with us. If you enjoy what we're doing, we would absolutely love it if you would tell a friend to tune into the show and check us out. If you really, really like what we're doing, then supporting us on Patreon would be great. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. We will get you in our Discord chat. We'll invite you to our after parties, and we'll send you out some cool swag. So with all that said, we do hope that you have a really, really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Clear. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in for the stream. We appreciate it. Again, we are going to drop that link in our Discord chat if you want to come hang with us for the after party if you're a Patreon supporter. But y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.